The Courage to be Disliked, right? It's a book about, so you've obviously heard of Freud and Jung. They were two massive figures that sort of, in the emergence of psychoanalysis in the early 20th century. But there was a third guy that was kind of not as charismatic as Freud and Jung, called Adler. And this book is basically a synthesis of Adlerian psychology by two, I think they're Japanese writers. And it's massive. It was huge in Asia, but it's sort of come into Europe and America in like the past year or so, and it's big. But essentially, there are a couple of principles in this book that have resonated with me a lot. The main one is that they summarize Adlerian psychology as the psychology of courage. And it has the underpinning philosophy that a lot of our problems in life, a lot of things that we wish to improve and obstacles we wish to navigate can be done with a sense of courage. Like, courage is the superpower that if you can develop it, you can grow and exceed in all areas of your life, whether that be in your interpersonal relationships or the thing you're trying to strive for, or in your mental health. If you have a level of courage, it can allow you to do that more easily. And I wrote a post about this. I don't know if you saw it, about the importance of courage. Quite a simple one, quite succinct. But I basically said, like, it's a character trait that unlocks all the areas of your life. Because what is confidence? Well, confidence is just courage in another form. What do you need to pursue meaningful work rather than just staying in the secure, safe path you're on? Well, you need courage to be different, right? What do you need to grow in a hobby or learn a skill? Well, you need courage, right? To be able to stick to a plan for somewhere you want to go, maintain the habits that you've intended for yourself, what do you need? You need courage. You need courage to reinvent yourself and be a different person. You need courage to create that new friendship with a stranger, to ask that girl out. You need courage to be grateful that you're alive, despite the fact that the world is full of suffering and evil and things that go wrong, right? In spite of that, it takes courage to be grateful to be alive. You need courage to be loved, to be happy, and to have a positive impact in the world and to find meaning. And so I think framing your life in this way can be really useful. And I'll pause there for a sec and see if you've got any thoughts.
What comes to mind is Aristotle's virtue ethics, and because it was one of his main philosophies, and he never named specifically what a virtue was, but he did point out courage as one of the main ones. And it's interesting how you link that to something that can apply to lots of different skills. I'm interested why the book's called The Courage to be Disliked. Why, is that an aim?
So Adler's point of view was that all problems in life are interpersonal relationship problems. So all your problems come from the way you evaluate and exist within your interpersonal relationships. So anxiety is the fear that you may be ridiculed and embarrassed and be seen as a failure in your interpersonal relationships. Or low self-esteem is your awareness that in your interpersonal relationships you are the inferior in whatever domain or metric you're looking at. And his argument is that if no one else existed, a lot of our mental afflictions that we go through as humans wouldn't exist. If we were just on our own world...
What do you mean by interpersonal relationships?
All your relationships you have with other people. Strangers, acquaintances, friends, family, lovers, everything under the sun. That's like interpersonal relationships is like a whole term just to describe that. Your engagements with other people. And he said that if you had none, if you were in the world on your own, a lot of the mental afflictions we go through as a human race wouldn't happen. It's a very interesting theory. Now, is it 100% true? Are there interpretations that disagree with it? Of course, but that's why it's the courage to be disliked. Because he basically goes, if you have the courage to live the life you'd like to live in the way you'd like to live it, then you're going to upset people. People are going to dislike you. But if you have the courage to bear that, then on the other side of that is a meaningful life, which is a very good lesson to take away from it.
So what's the strategy around what you should do if you're in interpersonal relationships?
He kind of talks about principles of not seeing life as a competition. Because as soon as you see life as a competition, you're either inferior or superior to somebody else. And they both lead to psychological traits that aren't healthy, right? Either the low self-esteem or the narcissistic delusion. Seeing life as a competition with other people is not good for your mental health at all. I think it's a good theory. It's kind of like the Peterson compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. It's that kind of thing.
Versus you.
Yeah, exactly. And that because people have such a unique life experience to you, you are going to be different to them in different domains. It doesn't represent a fundamental value judgment about you versus them in the world. We're different but equal. You know, our value as individuals is equal. You know, where we came from when we were born and where we go when we die are the same place. But in this world, we're different. We have different levels of skills and different abilities and different levels of, I don't know, IQ or ability to throw a ball or social skills or math skills or the ability to write, or, you know, there are so many differences between people, but our fundamental value as a person is the same. And so viewing it as a competition is it's a human ego created situation, because you want to have that feeling of dominance and social status. But he basically says that's even if you win, is a recipe for not feeling optimal.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know who it was, but I heard someone say, "How is other people?" And like it strikes as a bit of an outlandish sentence, but maybe there's some truth in it. And I like what you said about the scale due to the scale of competition, you're either always gonna feel like you're not good enough because you're submissive to the guys ahead of you, or you're going to be narcissistic and trying to rub it in the face of the people below you. So it's a lose-lose.
And also, what an adversarial way to approach the world. Not nice. What he says in the book is, if your life is a competition with other people, then everyone has the potential to be your enemy. And you shouldn't want enemies. You want friends. You want to make friends with the world. And so if you're in competition with someone, they're not really your friend, are you? You're not. If you think about a definition of what a true friend is, you're not in competition with them. Like, me and you are not in competition with one another. We collaborate, but we're on our own lanes. You know, we have different skill sets. We have different experiences. We have different character traits. And that's good. That means we can come together and collaborate and create good shit. But
Tate said this. He said the happiest man in the world is the man that wants nothing. The second happiest man in the world is the man who's got everything.
Mm-hmm.
But that's interesting how wanting nothing is better than having everything.
Well, that's what I've said to you before, is a nice definition of happiness. When you don't want to be anywhere else as anyone else doing anything else. Nothing more, nothing less.